Hey, welcome to another Valley Forged. And as you can see, today we're talking leather. I absolutely love working with leather on lasers and pretty much exclusively on diode lasers for the past year. And one of the nice things about leather is even with a 5.5 watt diode, you could probably do this pretty easily, definitely with a 10 watt, very easily, as long as you're using reasonably thin pieces of leather, which is generally what you use for making, say, bags or wallets or, keychains, things like that. Works absolutely fantastic. And the biggest thing is settings. So whether you've got a 10 watt or today I'm running this on the longer laser B1 30 watt. Now I had never done a 30 watt laser for leather yet. This is a new one. So I'm pretty excited about that because you can do it faster. Now, one thing though, leather is very expensive and I acknowledge that. And so I'm gonna give you lots of little tips and tricks on working with leather and a laser, specifically a diode laser today. I have made videos in the past about how to make the holes and how to make a wallet and whatnot. And all of that is very relevant and you're probably gonna go back and watch those videos. In fact, I'll put a playlist. This will give you an overall basics about working with leather if you wanna do just, basic craft leather. And then you can go in as far as you want to. Again, leather is expensive. I started out using just a plain old like 3.5 ounce leather I got from Amazon. And although it works just fine and it's good to be, it's kind of rough in the back and it's easy to stain if you've got natural leather. And I would almost say that if you want to use a natural leather without staining it or anything, maybe a laser isn't the best choice. Now, let me know out there if you've run into that or not. I mean, it still works fine. Look, I did a test. Very clean, very nice. But I just find it takes very little to make a mistake on this. One little, smear of smoke or something, and you've kind of ruined your project. This is just the way that I've found it, and I ended up not wanting to work with it. I really, really love working with Italian leather. It is very expensive. I mean, you can spend, $40 on a piece, this big. This is, and that's the first thing I'm going to get to is you really got to get the veg tan leather. It is not safe. And if you've watched this channel for any time, you realize I'm not somebody who goes nuts about safety issues. I think you should be basically safe, but I don't get insane about it. But the fumes from a chrome tan leather are just something you do not want to mess with. So please get veg tan leather, first of all. Second of all, keep it very safe, keep it away from dirt. As I said, the stuff's not cheap, so you don't want to be messing around. Now, when I first started doing leather, I actually especially with a laser, I didn't even know it would work. I just wanted to make purse handles for this crazy idea I had to make wooden purses from a laser. And it worked great, but then I was like, oh, how am I going to make the handles? They should be leather. And I didn't know how to do it. So I was working with a big CO2 laser at the time, and I just cut them out. And yes, the edges were charred as hell, and I spent a lot of time getting that charred out. I actually wet the leather down so that it would, decrease the char. I didn't know nearly as much about lasers as I do today. I probably could have done a lot of things. But if you were to go to, say, like a Michael's and buy leather and it says natural leather, you have to be careful. If it doesn't say vegetable tan leather, I would just assume that it is something, who knows what chemical process. Now, this is something here that I got from Michael's. It was reasonably cheap. it looks really nice for doing leather straps. And so currently for leather straps, what I do is I cut them out manually. And that's what I use this for. I just make a strip and then that's what I use. And it is a little bit thicker. You can also go to, say, a Tandy leather and just get the straps already made. But that's a whole other video. This one is about what you would do with a laser, right? Which is 90% of what I do, because I just love lasers. I love working with lasers, and lasers to me are a hammer and everything looks like a nail. Every time I see something, I think, oh, can I do that with a laser? And so I started making wallets. This was actually my first one, really beat up and stuff because I use this every day, but it's holding up great. As you can see, I used a yellow thread around it, and that yellow thread is still looking really good on the inside, a little dingy on the outside, but somebody was asking me about that. They were saying, well, doesn't the thread get dirty? And what I found is actually the thread wipes off very easily. I don't have an issue with that. And you can see I've just bought a whole bag of thread. Thread is very expensive. So I got the whole variety pack from Buckle Guy, but that is great in my opinion for making men's wallets. It is pretty thick and it lays down kind of in a squarish where it looks a little bit more masculine. I do kind of like the thinner threads. I'm getting the tiger thread, but I have to buy it individually. And for the smaller threads for maybe a more feminine look. But it is nice just being able to have a whole bag of different colors of threads that I can just match up with whatever color and make some interesting wallets. In fact, here's my wallets here. You can see I have a variety of colors, and you can see I used a variety of different color thread. I even did copper on the outside of this one. Turned out great. I used the Angelus leather dyes, and they're super fun to work with. Got purple with more of a natural inside. You can do anything. I did some fun Chinese sayings for certain gifts for Chinese New Year for some people. They loved those. So there's all kinds of fun things that you can do. And the more wallets you make, the easier it gets. And it's a really, really fun process. You know, you cut it out and you can adjust and make any kind of product you want to. And then I like to hand sew these. And to me, it's just a calming, fun process where when you're finished, you feel like you've done something. And the wallets sell really well. I was kind of surprised because these days it's kind of a higher price point and you could go get a $10 wallet made out of something synthetic. But I tend to find people just walk by and they pick them up and they buy them. And I sell these wallets here for $65 and they go quite well. So like I said in the beginning, testing. So what I did was I just got whatever I could find that seemed to be scrap. And I just did some testing. So I'll show you in the pictures, but I did air, no air. Now, when I had the Ortura Laser Master 3, as videos you've seen before, no air was way better. And now I'm finding with this 30-watt laser and the way I've got it all set up with the air, that with the air, not only was it a little cleaner, but it actually cut so much better. I was able to use much lower settings. I mean, you can see how much more cut out. The bottom one has the air on it. And so when you can cut things with much lower power, you're gonna get less charring, it's gonna be faster, you know, it just works. And one of the good things to test is higher speed with lower power versus the opposite, of course, right? So this kind of goes in order. I went all the way from like 400 millimeters a second all the way up to 1200 millimeters a second. And you can see when I start getting up to 1200, you're only able to get about 50 to 60, 70% power to be able to cut it out. And I didn't find that that actually worked better. And I was kind of surprised. So the bottom line is testing, testing, testing. And so there's your problem is leather is super expensive, but yet you have to test a lot. And that's true. So it's not an easy thing to get into because you're going to have to, and you'll go back to my old videos and see which tools you need and when to get tools. And I go over that in other videos, but the bottom line is keep going until you need something and then get it. Because if you go and buy all the stuff you need for leather, you're going to be out hundreds of dollars, and chances are a lot of it you're not even going to use. So my advice is just start. If you've got a laser or you're going to buy a laser, do that first. Get some leather, maybe try and get something cheap at first, but make sure it's veg tan, and do some practice. Make a wallet, figure out what, pattern that you want to get. I will be putting up this pattern for light burn as soon as I can. I'll let you guys know when I do that, because this is basically this is a make supply 5 pocket wallet that I usually do, but converting that over and making it for light burn, that is a good bit of work, which I encourage you to do. And I do have videos showing you how to do that. But for a lot of you, hey, you just want to try it out, right? So I will put that together for some super low price or something, and make that easy for everybody just to use light burn. But then you're still going to have to do settings. I'll have some things that I say here, start here. But what I found so far is that a little bit higher power, lower power and lower speed seems to work better. So say like, if you were going to go 1,000 millimeters per second so that you could run 80% power, that may not work as good as maybe going 500 millimeters per second and then being able to run at 40 or 50 maximum power. That just seems to work better so far in the lasers that I've used. But again, testing, testing, testing. And I think 4 millimeters leather and below seems to work better, maybe 4 or 5 ounce, I'm using 2 to 3 ounce for the leather wallets that I make. I just like them very, I like the hand. I like the way that it feels. And I don't like it when it's too thick. But that's the whole fun part of working with lasers. You just find what you like, but I'm just showing you that this actually works. It works well. It makes beautiful wallets. And it is something you can get into, and you could easily surpass anything that I've done. But it all starts with testing, testing, testing. And that is going to solve a lot of the problems and the questions that I get is all about, how do I get rid of the smoke? Or is the soot going to get on my thread? Or all these sorts of things. A lot of those are just about power settings. And if you look at this is straight out of the laser. I haven't done anything. And you notice it cut out every single hole. I didn't have to push out anything. I didn't have to knock it out. This is the way that it came out. And it's not leaving my hands all sooty, although there is some soot. So this is something you will do, is wipe this off. But if the settings are absolutely perfect, which I can already say they're not, because it's cutting out so cleanly that I realized that I could probably bump down the power a little bit and get less charring. These are the first actual pieces that come out of my 30 watt. And they look really nice, and they're going to clean up beautifully, and these are going to make amazing wallets. But settings could be a tad bit better. And you don't want to be getting too much soot everywhere because, of course, that's going to get on the leather and it's going to look bad. I tend to also use an antiquing oil or something, which actually does make it gives it a little bit more of that, maybe not used, but antique-y look. and it does cover up a lot of sins. I don't do that for every wallet, but I just find that can kind of look nice, especially on these reds. So I am here to answer questions for you on this stuff, and I want to do a lot more when it comes to leather, and it's been, gosh, probably 4 or 5 months since I did a leather video, so I'm very excited to get back into it, and I'm very excited to help everybody else do a much better job with this. So please leave your comments, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and I will take all of that feedback and put it in towards the next video. And of course, if you're looking for a great laser, that longer B1 30 watt is really top notch, and that was my last video, was doing a bit of a review on that, but I really wanted to do leather, so the links for that are in the description as well. I think longer's definitely become one of my go-tos, and I only work with who I want to work with. I'm not somebody who's just gonna work with anybody, and I do appreciate that they're making some good stuff. So with that said, let's get into the next episode, which will be on leather as well. And I'll take a look at everything that you've said, and we will get into it. All right, I will see you in the next one. Love y'all.